Okay, so picture this. Elliot Van Alen,
Yeah.
top architect, yeah. Name's basically synonymous with success in New York.
Right, one of the big players.
And suddenly, bam, his latest design, it gets labeled derivative.
Oof. That's gotta hurt, especially for him.
Exactly. So he's at this real low point, and then he meets Solomon, a blind man.
An unlikely friendship, you could say, but it's what Solomon offers him. It's not just sympathy.
No, not at all. It's this completely fresh way to actually, well, see the city.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe perceive it is the better word.
Perceive is good, yeah. And for this deep dive, we've looked at some really compelling sources, texts, audio recordings. They detail these interactions.
Between Elliot and Solomon, yeah.
It's quite a study in contrast. Shows how, real understanding can pop up in the most unexpected ways.
Totally. So our goal today is to unpack that. How this connection, this architect and this blind man reveals things about architecture, sure, but also ambition, the city's soul.
And maybe give you, the listener, a new lens for looking at or listening to the world around you.
Right. So let's dive into that first meeting. Elliot's reeling, right? This derivative thing has hit him hard.
Yeah, a real crisis of confidence, it seems.
And then this chance encounter at a subway grate, of all places. Kind of symbolic, isn't it?
Facing the void, maybe? And then Solomon's there.
And what's amazing is Solomon's immediate take. He doesn't just offer, like, empty platitudes.
No, he jumps right into sound. Sound as architecture, describing how city noises just stack up like invisible bricks.
Invisible structures all around us. Wow, it makes you think about all the sound we just, tune out.
It really does. A whole different way to experience space.
But here's the bit that gets me. Solomon, who can't see, apparently makes this immediate link between Elliot and the Chrysler Building. How?
Well, the sources hint it's a mix of things. Elliot probably gives off some subtle clues, maybe mentions something.
Okay.
And Solomon, well, he clearly has this incredibly deep knowledge of the city, its history, its big names. The Van Alen name means something in architecture.
Ah, right. His grand uncle.
Exactly. And Solomon just seems incredibly observant, just in his own way, using his other senses.
Which brings us neatly to the Chrysler Building itself. It's more than just a famous skyscraper, isn't it?
Oh, much more. That story about the spire.
The hidden spire. Built in secret, then boom, unveiled October 23rd, 1929.
The day before the stock market crash, you couldn't make it up.
Seriously. Talk about a metaphor for ambition.
Yeah.
And then potential disaster right around the corner.
Precisely. And Solomon uses that history, that specific detail, to kind of poke at Elliot's own ambitions.
Hello.
He basically asks him, what are you really building for? Is it something meaningful, something for the city now? Or is it just about chasing that family legacy? His grand uncle, William Van Alen.
The Chrysler architect. Wow. That forces a real reckoning, doesn't it?
Definitely makes Elliot question his motives.
And Solomon himself. His philosophy is just so different. He's described as what, nomadic?
Yeah, like he belongs everywhere and nowhere at the same time, which gives him this unique vantage point, maybe, both inside the city and looking at it from a slight distance.
That makes sense. And their conversations, they start with buildings, but they really expand, don't they?
They really do. They start talking art, color, form, even music. Solomon's blindness seems to have maybe amplified his hearing. He seems to connect with music on this incredibly deep level.
Yeah. And he asked Elliot that killer question about music. You listen to it, but do you hear it?
That distinction is key, isn't it? Passive reception versus active engagement.
Totally. Applies to everything, not just music.
And Solomon applies it right back to the city. He hears it as this constant conversation, a hum, a rhythm. It's the city's real structure, if you know how to tune in.
Like different neighborhoods having their own sound signatures?
Exactly. Their own acoustics, almost. But he's also quite critical, isn't he, about why we build so high?
Oh, yeah. He doesn't buy the whole grand vision thing necessarily. Sees it more as ego, dominance.
Calls the Skyline an obituary.
An obituary of long dead men. That's pretty bleak. But powerful.
It definitely punctures the romance of the skyscraper, and he contrasts that sort of rational, straight-line, controlled architecture with how people actually move. Messy, organic, stumbling.
Human.
Exactly. He talks about the dead air in these huge, empty office towers, a sign of the disconnect.
So what's the alternative, according to him?
Buildings need to give something back. They need to invite life. He mentions the High Line, the Guggenheim.
Places that encourage interaction, not just standing there looking impressive.
Precisely. They offer something beyond just the visual.
Which leads them to this epic walk.
The walking tour, Solomon insists, Battery Park all the way to Inwood. He says Elliot has to feel the city under his feet.
Get out of the penthouse perspective.
Basically, yeah. He calls Elliot out, says he's seeing the city through windows from penthouse parties. A direct hit.
Ouch. But probably true?
Likely had some truth to it.
Yeah.
The focus shifts to the tactile, the ground level, which makes sense given how Solomon experiences the world.
And he uses that Helen Keller analogy.
So powerful. Someone without sight, hearing, or speech, yet differentiating bridges by touch, calling skyscrapers fairy palaces. Just through feeling.
It shows how much information is there, beyond just sight.
Absolutely.
Then they had these little moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like stopping for coffee.
At Charlie's espresso stand, Solomon has his standards.
Huh. Grounds him, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Shows his connection to the everyday city.
Little rituals. And then they discuss the Woolworth building.
The Cathedral of Commerce.
Right. A monument to ambition, yes. But Solomon feels it has a soul. He contrasts it with newer buildings, maybe implying something's been lost.
Interesting. And the stop in Bryant Park, what was that about?
Solomon calls it genteel space. Not meaning posh, but...
But designed with kindness. Room to breathe.
Exactly. The benches, the green space. It offers a pause, a bit of calm. It's about how the design makes you feel.
And he used that analogy. A building like a tree.
Needs roots, yeah. Needs connection to the ground. A park at its base provides that. It shouldn't just float above the city, detached.
It all connects back to that idea of integration, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So they finally reached the Chrysler Building on this walk. Must have been a big moment.
Huge. Brings it all back to that first conversation, that first connection Solomon made. And seeing it there physically.
Makes the story of the rivalry, the secret spire,
Yeah.
way more vivid.
And it hits Elliot then, doesn't it? That his granduncle's fame. It's fading.
People don't necessarily know who William Van Alen was anymore.
Exactly. He's becoming a historical footnote. And Solomon pushes him again. What are you doing? Finishing his work? We're starting your own. Something for now.
Tough questions.
Crucial ones.
The walk continues, up into Harlem, and the sounds change again.
Yeah, the city hum mixes with music, a different rhythm.
And that's where Solomon shares something personal.
He does. Reveals he studied piano at the Manhattan School of Music. And then lost his sight. It adds, well, a whole other layer to his focus on sound, on structure you can hear.
Definitely. And they share a meal there.
Yeah, and the feeling described is that they've built something together that day. Not a building, but a shared experience, steps and stories, a real connection forged.
You can feel that bond solidifying.
Yeah.
And the walk, it clearly shakes Elliot up. He talks about a lingering hum.
Like the city's rhythm got under his skin, in a good way.
He starts to realize creativity isn't just sleek monuments. It's about connection.
That becomes central. And his tower design starts to change.
How so?
It softens, the base flares out like roots.
Like Solomon's tree analogy.
Exactly. Directly influenced. He's incorporating Solomon's ideas, sound as structure, buildings that feel alive, grounded.
He struggles with it a bit.
Okay.
His pride.
Oh yeah, the Van Alen pride. He wrestles with needing Solomon's input versus that ingrained idea of the architect as the sole genius.
That tension seems really important.
It comes to a head when Solomon visits Elliot's place. They're looking at the Flatiron Building.
Another iconic one.
And Solomon talks about how it moves with the wind, how it needs to breathe. And Elliot finally admits it.
Yeah, admits what?
Admits how much he's been taking, using Solomon's ideas.
And how does Solomon react?
Not well at first. He pushes back hard against being Elliot's redemption story or inspiration.
He said that line, doesn't he? I'm not your muse.
I'm just another pair of hands.
Huh.
Yeah, it's raw. He calls out the power dynamics, the potential for exploitation, maybe even subconsciously.
The class, the race, it's all potentially there.
It forces Elliot to confront his privilege, his fear of actually needing Solomon, and that's the turning point. Elliot acknowledges it's not his tower, it's ours.
A real partnership. Finally.
From that honesty, the new Van Alen building takes shape.
Described as sinuous, embracing the street.
Yeah, rippling upwards, almost embodying that rhythm Solomon talked about. And apparently it gets rave reviews.
Success, but maybe on different terms this time.
Seems like it. And their friendship lasts, which is key. They keep collaborating, sketching with sound.
Sketching with sound. I love that.
And that final image, them on the top floor.
Yeah.
Together, that quiet, we did this.
Powerful. The Van Alen name is on the plaque,
But the story makes it clear. Solomon's vision, their connection, that's the real heartbeat of the building.
So the real legacy isn't just the steel and glass.
No. It's a new way of thinking, architecture that serves the city's soul, the people on the ground.
So, thinking about our listeners, what's the big takeaway here?
I think it's about, well, where innovation comes from. Often unexpected places, different perspectives. You have to be open to them.
Absolutely. And really learning to, quotation marks, see or hear what's actually around us, going beyond the surface.
Engaging more deeply, yeah.
So maybe the thought to leave you with is, what's the invisible architecture where you live?
The sounds, the flows of people, the hidden histories. What can you start to hear or sense if you really tune in?
How could listening differently change how you see things? Something to ponder.